Stop! You haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Subscribe now. We have new stories every day. Now let's go. Unveiled betrayal. Keaton pulled into the driveway of his suburban home, a sense of contentment washing over him as he turned off the engine. Another productive day at the office was behind him. Grabbing his briefcase, he headed inside, looking forward to an evening with his family. "I'm home," he called out. Asher, his 18-year-old son, poked his head out from the living room. "Hey, Dad," he said, a slight frown creasing his brow. Keaton noticed the expression. "Everything okay, son?" Asher shrugged. "Yeah, just. Mom's not home yet." Again. A flicker of concern crossed Keaton's face, but he pushed it aside. "I'm sure she's just caught up at work or running errands. You know how busy she's been lately." Asher nodded, though he didn't look convinced. Keaton made a mental note to talk to Lena about her increasingly frequent absences. It wasn't like her to be away from home so much without explanation. "How about we start on dinner?" Keaton suggested, heading toward the kitchen. "Your mom will probably be home soon." As they prepared the meal together, Keaton couldn't help but notice Asher's subdued mood. His usually talkative son was quiet, lost in thought. "Something on your mind, Ash?" Keaton asked, chopping vegetables. Asher hesitated. "Dad, have you noticed anything different about Mom lately?" Keaton paused. "Different how?" "I don't know. She's just been acting strange, always on her phone, coming home late, barely talking to us." Keaton felt a knot form in his stomach. He'd noticed some changes too, but had chalked it up to work stress. Hearing Asher voice his concerns made them suddenly feel more real. "I'm sure it's nothing," Keaton said, trying to sound reassuring. "But I'll talk to her about it, okay?" Asher nodded, but the worry didn't leave his eyes. The front door opened, and Lena's voice called out, "I'm home." Keaton and Asher exchanged a glance before Keaton responded, "We're in the kitchen." Lena breezed in, looking flustered. "Sorry I'm late. Work was crazy today." Keaton leaned in to kiss her, but she turned her cheek at the last second, his lips grazing her skin. He frowned slightly at the evasion. "We were just about to have dinner," he said. "Want to join us?" "Oh, I already ate," Lena replied, not meeting his eyes. "I think I'll just head upstairs and take a shower." Before Keaton could respond, she was gone. He turned to Asher, who was staring after her with a mixture of hurt and suspicion. "Let's eat," Keaton said softly, squeezing his son's shoulder. As they ate in near silence, Keaton's mind raced. He needed to confront Lena about her behavior. This couldn't go on. Days passed, and Lena's strange behavior continued. Late nights, hushed phone conversations, a growing coldness toward Keaton. Whenever he tried to talk to her, she brushed off his concerns, growing defensive and irritable. One afternoon, Asher came home early from school, feeling under the weather. As he trudged up the stairs to his room, he heard muffled sounds coming from his parents' bedroom. Curiosity overrode his initial instinct to, "Where am I supposed to go?" she sobbed. "Go to him. Go anywhere. Just leave." Lena reached out, but Keaton recoiled. "Don't touch me. Keaton, please. Get out." Defeated, Lena turned and left, her footsteps echoing hollowly. The door slammed behind her. Keaton stood there for a moment, the weight of what had happened pressing down on him. Then a cold resolve settled in. This wasn't over. He grabbed his keys and headed out. The drive to Travis' apartment was a blur. Rage propelled him forward. When he arrived, he marched up to the door and pounded on it. Travis opened the door, surprise flickering into fear as he recognized Keaton. "Look, man." Keaton didn't let him finish. His fist connected with Travis's jaw, sending him stumbling back. "You thought you could destroy my family and walk away." Keaton growled. Travis held up his hands. "She told me you two were over. Does that make it okay?" Keaton advanced on him. "You're nothing but a coward." Travis swung at him, but Keaton easily dodged. He grabbed Travis by the shirt. "Stay away from my family. If I ever see you again, you'll regret it." He released him with a shove, turning on his heel and leaving without another word. Back home, Keaton began gathering Lena's belongings. He threw everything into garbage bags and dragged them to the curb. The neighbors watched from their windows as he worked silently. As he dumped the last bag, Lena pulled up in her car. She got out, eyes red from crying. "Keaton, what are you doing?" "Making sure you have everything," he said coldly. "Please, let's talk about this," she begged. "There's nothing to talk about." She reached for his arm. "Think about Asher." He pulled away. "I am thinking about him. He deserves better than this. You're destroying our family." "No, Lena," he replied sharply. "You did that." She stood there, trembling. "I made a mistake." "A mistake?" Keaton shook his head. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You made a choice." Tears streamed down her face. "I still love you." He looked at her, expressionless. "I can't say the same." Without another word, he turned and walked back into the house, locking the door behind him. Inside, Asher stood at the bottom of the stairs. "Dad?" "It's done," Keaton said quietly. Asher nodded, relief and sorrow mingling in his eyes. "What happens now?" "We move forward," Keaton replied. "Together." In the weeks that followed, Keaton filed for divorce, making sure it was swift and final. He and Asher settled into a new routine, supporting each other through the pain. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Asher spoke up. "Dad, I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you." Keaton shook his head. "I'm glad you did. It took courage. I just couldn't keep it from you." Keaton placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "You did the right thing." Asher hesitated. "Do you think we'll be okay?" A small smile touched Keaton's lips. "I know we will." Life moved on. Asher graduated high school and prepared for college. Keaton found solace in his work and in the strengthened bond with his son. Occasionally, they would see Lena around town, a distant figure, a reminder of a past they'd left behind. She never approached them, and they preferred it that way. One day, Asher came home from college for a visit. They spent the afternoon tinkering with the old car in the garage, laughter and easy conversation filling the space. "Feels good to be home," Asher said, wiping grease from his hands. "Feels good to have you here," Keaton replied. Asher looked at his father. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Keaton nodded. "We have." "Think Mom ever thinks about us?" Keaton considered. "Maybe, but that's in the past." Asher smiled. "Here's to the future, then." "To the future," Keaton agreed. They went inside as the sun dipped below the horizon, the warmth of their home embracing them. Despite the shadows of the past, they had built something strong and unbreakable, a testament to resilience and the unyielding bonds of family.